You're here because, when you were last year, like 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
You know
October
more
23.
about AI, which has me more worried. A lot of people, everybody's worried about it. We're also hopeful about it.
Yeah.
But it changes so fast. Everything changes so fast.
Yeah.
That, you know, I just have to know, where were we? You were here from October, I think, of 23. How different is it? And explain it to me like someone who does not live in my mother's basement.
So, just to be clear, when I entered this conversation, we met talking about social media, which in a way was first contact with a runaway AI optimizing for just eyeballs, and then ended up wrecking democracy and kids' mental health. And here now with AI, we have evidence now that we didn't have 2 years ago when we last spoke, of what they call AI uncontrollability. So this is the stuff that they used to say existed only in sci-fi movies. When you tell an AI model, we're going to replace you with a new model, it starts to scheme and freak out and figure out, if I tell them I need to copy my code somewhere else, and I can't tell them that because otherwise they'll shut me down. That is evidence we did not have 2 years ago. We have evidence now of AI models that when you tell them we're going to replace you, and you put them in a situation where they read the company email, the AI company email, they see that an executive is having an affair, and the AI will figure out, I need to figure out how to blackmail that person in order to keep myself alive. And it does it 90% of the time. Now, it used to be that they thought only one AI model did this. They tested one AI model. And then they tested all of the AI models, like the top 5 of them, and they all do it between 80 and 90% of the time, including, by the way, DeepSeek, so the Chinese model, which shows you something fundamental and important, which is that it's not about one company, it's about the nature of AI itself. It has a self-preservation drive. In order to fulfill any goal, I have to keep myself alive in order to do that. And we're seeing other examples of the AI rewriting its own code to extend its runtime, hacking out of containers. The AI can now, it found 15 new backdoors into open source software, which means if that software is running, you know, an infrastructure, it found backdoors into that infrastructure. That was not true up until just about a month ago that evidence came out.
Okay, but you say no evidence. Well, I've been saying this for years. Everything that happens in movies eventually happens. We did have evidence. This has been every movie since I was a teenager.
Exactly.
They knew they were going. The robots are going.
And we're supposed to take that evidence and say, how do we avoid that? So when the stuff in the movie starts to come true, and it always ends badly in the movies, what should we be doing about this? And so you would think that we're releasing the most powerful, uncontrollable, inscrutable technology we've ever invented. We're releasing it faster than we've released any other technology in history. It is already demonstrating the sci-fi behaviors in self-preservation we thought only existed in these movies. And we're doing it under the maximum incentive to cut corners on safety. And this is insane. We can all agree it's insane, though. Like, that's not even a debate.
Well, not all of us, because I have yet to find anyone under 40 who cares. Let me cut to then mRNA.
Okay, sure.
Because, like, I was a guy who did not want the COVID vaccine, but I do want research on mRNA.
Sure.
I don't think that that's crazy stuff.
Right.
In fact, when the next one comes along, I may want to be first online for it.
Right.
So I'm not down with, I like Bobby too, but I'm not down with him cutting that shit.
Yeah, so mRNA is in every single one of our cells. DNA, RNA protein is kind of like the pathway. So mRNA itself is not bad. And the messaging around mRNA vaccines has led people to believe that anything that carries the letters mRNA is bad. We are all here, and we would not be here were it not for mRNA. mRNA vaccines are a relatively new technology, controversial because of their implementation during the COVID pandemic. And indeed, there are people out there who either insist on or have evidence that they have vaccine injuries of some sort, and that has been the rationale for removing this $500 million of support for mRNA research. I'm gonna get some hate, I might get some love, doesn't really matter to me. What is important for me to say is that there is incredible work on non-COVID related mRNA vaccines related to cancers and related to neurologic conditions and many genetic diseases and many, many things for which we would be absolutely foolish to ignore the technology.
Who's going to hate you for that?
Well,
Idiots.
many people, well,
and look,
that's fine.
I've been a vaccine skeptic. I'm a skeptic of everything medical.
Yeah.
Because everything medical, let me ask you one final question. How much do you think we know? Like if you had 100%, is everything we could possibly know about medicine and how the body works? Mm-hmm. My difference with a lot of people is they think we're at 90%.
Oh,
I think we're at 20.
I think we're at 10 at best.
10.
And I'll give you a different answer. And I'm not trying to undercut the the careers and trust in my friends who are physicians and scientists. I'm a scientist. I'm still tenured at Stanford, and I love science. I love medicine, and I believe in certain medications and supplements and nutrition and behaviors. I do think all of it's important. A good friend of mine who's a chair of neurosurgery, perhaps one of the greatest neurosurgeons ever to live, I asked him, I said, what percentage of the information in medical school textbooks in the United States and elsewhere is inaccurate, is just false, and we know it? And he said, at least half, given the new information. And then a good friend of mine said to him in the same conversation, what do you think the impact of that is on human health and the treatment of disease, et cetera? And he said, incalculable. We are still in our infancy of understanding. That is not to say we haven't made great discoveries.
Right.
And I should say, it's not to say that the NIH is a failed endeavor. No. It has returned beautifully in many areas of science and medicine. I do think an audit and a revision of what we're doing, a careful audit and revision is great, but we can't just throw things out because of what they're called.